Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. The purpose of this meeting is to share information with you about the Chetwynd Public Library project's proposed design and to address your questions about the project. We had hoped to be able to meet with you in person tonight and had made plans to do so, but COVID restrictions announced last month meant we had to pivot to this virtual format. I hope that the day when we can have community meetings like this one in person is not too far away. Until then, this is the best way to follow the provincial health order's directives and keep everybody safe while still gathering to share information and get your thoughts and answer questions. My name is Dan Rose, and I'm the Director for Electoral Area E of the Peace River Regional District. We are joined by Kelly Wilson, Chair of the Chetwynd Public Library Advisory Committee, and by Amy Levers, the Project Architect with Field Levers Architecture. I would also like to introduce, although they may not be on camera, our advisory committee. We have Janet Wark, Councillor with the District of Chetwynd, Anya Harmachek, Library Board Member, and Melissa Millsap, Chetwynd Library Director. As well, we have staff working behind the scenes tonight to make this virtual open house as effective as possible and have supported the project throughout. Thanks to Trish, Brenna, and Kyla at the PRD and Carol with the District of Chetwynd. The agenda for tonight is a presentation followed by a question and answer session. We have an hour, so we have plenty of time for questions and discussion. Amy will be doing the bulk of the presentation on the proposed design, and I will be providing details how the project will be funded, and Kelly will be speaking on behalf of the committee. As I said, we're here to share information with you about the proposed design and to address any questions you may have. We are in the late stages of this process, and lots of feedback and discussion has already taken place. Tonight is another opportunity for you to let us know what you think. Before we begin the presentation, I wanted to let you know that at this point, you are muted. After the presentation, if you want to make a comment or ask a question, please type your question into the chat box or use the raise hand feature to indicate that you have a question. Questions submitted through the chat will be reviewed by our moderator before being submitted to our presenters. We will do our best to answer questions in the order in which they come in. Please be aware that this meeting is being recorded. It will be posted to our project website for people to watch who are not able to be here tonight. So let's begin with the project architect, Amy Levers, who will outline design features for us.
Thank you, Director Rose. The site of the new Chetwynd Library was selected as part of the recreational lands located along John Hart Highway between 45th and 46th Streets. The property is just over 5 acres and encompasses part of the existing recreation center, the splash park, the skate park, and the old ball diamonds. The land is designated P2, public and institutional, and the library meets the intent of the land use bylaw for a public use facility. The site is serviced with water, storm, and sanitary to the south side of the property, and water and sanitary tie-ins at the northeast corner. The design team considered several locations for the library, including aligning with the rec center and North Access Road, and in the current location behind the skate park. The current location was chosen to allow for flexibility in the design, parking views to the skate park, and to accommodate the outdoor areas adjacent to the proposed library facility. Next slide. The concept that began with the Library Advisory Committee was the living room of the community. This building serves a variety of functions for the community members, including children's programming on the north side, children's reading and play area just outside of that children's room, a teen reading and lounge area, the adult reading and lounge area with private seating space along the windows facing the park, a public computer area, meeting space that can be 1 large room or 2 small rooms, makerspace and virtual reality room that can also be used as a private meeting room, a storytelling room that can be open or closed to the main area as another meeting room, staff areas, a cafe and sitting area, and an outdoor gathering area. Next slide. This is an aerial view of the new library. The structural design of the new library building will include a slab on grade with spread footings and grade beams as a single-story building. There will be no basement or crawl space. The main structure of the building will consist of heavy timber frame with glulam columns and beams with wood infill. The roof of the building will consist of structural insulated panels that span between roof joists, all with a sloped metal roof, as you can see in the image there. Next slide. This shows the front of the building with the outdoor plaza facing the highway with a landscaped space in front of the skate park. This outdoor plaza area will be protected from the elements by a large roof canopy. Next slide. The windows will be triple glazed, low E, argon filled, and the roof and walls will have high insulation values for a thermally efficient building envelope. Next slide. This is the east side of the building facing the skate park. The exterior of the building will be clad in a masonry material and metal siding that looks like wood, which will have a low maintenance, long lasting finish. Next slide. This is the west side of the building facing the parking area. As you can see in this image, there will be clear story windows at the upper level to bring light to the center of the building. Next slide. The main entry of the building will feature a large expansive glazing with a canopy, signage, and a window for the exterior book drop. Next slide. The building floor plan centers around the living room area, which contains the public computer area, soft seating, and the cafe seating area, with a high volume space with clear story windows and an exposed structure. Next slide. This area is the heart of the library, from which you can access the cafe, seen on the right, washrooms, meeting rooms, the storytelling room in the center there, the book stacks, and the circulation desk. Next slide. This area here shows the cafe located right to the doors that lead to the outdoor plaza, and the open cafe sitting area is open to the storytelling room here on the left. Next slide. The storytelling room is an important element to the design that acknowledges the culture of the Chetwynd area and can be used for storytelling, meetings, group gatherings, in a space that encourages sharing, acknowledgement of the past, the Indigenous culture and history, and it will bring people together in an inviting room with a feature fireplace. Next slide. Interior finishes will consist of commercial grade, resilient floor throughout, painted drywall walls, vaulted ceilings that will contain lighting and acoustic panels as required. Millwork will be durable plastic laminate over plywood with solid surface countertops and commercial grade hardware. Doors will be solid core wood with a stained veneer finish and painted metal frames. Next slide. The building will have high efficiency condensing natural gas boilers. The air handling units will also be condensing gas fired high efficiency units. We will have heat recovery on the mechanical system and remote mounted air conditioning units. There will be in-floor hot water radiant heat built into the slab, making for a stable, comfortable indoor environment. Next slide. Each room in the building can be used for multiple purposes, and walls have been made flexible to move as required for the use. From this view, you can see the demountable wall to the meeting room is open. Next slide. And in this view, you can see the demountable wall to the meeting room closed. Next slide. This is a view to the meeting room, again with the walls open. All lighting fixtures will be high efficient LED type with lighting controlled by the occupant, utilizing perimeter daylighting when possible. Next slide. Other sustainable building features include high R value insulation, triple glazed low E windows, local low VOC materials with a high recycled content, rain and stormwater management on the site, construction waste management during construction, and future consideration for other sustainable initiatives such as solar panels. Next slide. This is a high-level view of the reading stacks. Natural light has been brought in to all usable areas in the space, with views to the surrounding park, rec center, splash park, skate park, and outdoor plaza. Next slide. The stacks area contains soft seating areas within for each user group, the children, the teen, and the adults, where people can tuck away with reading materials as they wish. This concludes the design portion, and we'll go back to Director Rose.
Thank you, Amy. The total budget for the new library is set at no more than $5 million. The project will be primarily funded through grant contributions from government and possibly non-government sources. As the Director for Electoral Area E, I have committed $2 million from gas tax and Peace River Agreement funds. The District of Chetwynd has committed $1 million. Chetwynd Library Board has committed $750,000 in addition to the costs associated with all the furniture and equipment. We are also hopeful we will receive at least $300,000 in other grants. At this time, we are also anticipating some short-term borrowing for up to $950,000. And that would result in a tax increase for the residents and businesses of Chetwynd and the surrounding rural areas. We will continue to look for grants, donations, and additional sources of funding so that the tax increase can be minimized. We understand that people are concerned about tax increases, and we are committed to keeping increases as low as possible. The amount of the tax increase depends on how much we need to borrow short term for a 5-year term. Currently, the residential tax rate for the Chetwynd Library Services function is 14.88 cents per $1,000 on land and improvements. If we need to borrow up to $950,000, the tax rate is anticipated to increase to between 20 cents and 22 cents per $1,000 of assessed property value. So, for example, if your property is assessed at $150,000, the annual estimated tax increase would be $30 to $33 from approximately $22, an $11 increase. If your property is assessed at $450,000, the annual estimated tax increase would be $90 to $99 from approximately $67. We have an online tax calculator on our project website that will let you calculate your estimated annual tax by entering the assessed value of your property. You can find that at haveyoursay.prd.bc.ca/CPLP. We will leave that website address on the screen for you at the end of this presentation. Proposed taxation area will be the whole of the District of Chetwynd and a large portion of Electoral Area E. This is the same taxation area as is currently taxed for the operation of the library. It is important to understand that following the completion of the library, the tax rate is expected to decline if property assessments remain stable. However, it is unlikely to go back to the 2021 rates due to costs to develop capital reserves, maintenance, and inflation. I'll turn it over to Kelly Wilson to say a few words.
Thank you, Director Rose. Good evening. As chair of the Library Advisory Committee for this project, I just want to say how exciting it is to have seen the presentation this evening and all the features of the new library that have just been outlined for us. What you're seeing tonight has been the culmination of the process that began in 2016. I'm not going to go into all the steps that got us here tonight, but I'm confident that we are now in the final stages of a process that has involved considerable community discussion and input. We have also seen a commitment from a lot of people to make this project a reality. From the Library Advisory Committee, the Library Board, library staff, District of Chetwynd, and the Peace River Regional District. It is so truly important to recognize and thank you all for your efforts. We're here tonight to get your comments and your feedback on the design. As well as your comments and your questions tonight, I encourage you all to fill out a survey on the project website. Hard copies of the survey are available at the library, the rec center, and the district office. You are also welcome to send an email to ask@prrd.bc.ca. We will put that website and email information again on the screen for you in a few moments. From your feedback this evening and throughout the surveys and completed emails and all that you give us, we will compile your comments and use them to inform any final design decisions. We're expecting to break ground on the new library early in 2022 and hopefully open the doors by late 2020 or early 2023. Now I'll just pass it back to Director Rose to start answering some questions that we already have.
Thank you, Kelly. We are almost ready to open the floor to your questions. A few questions have been posted or submitted in advance that we wanted to cover. First is regarding the bookshelves or stacks in the new library. People are wondering if the area designed for the stacks is big enough to fit the entire collection. The new facility will have enough space to accommodate the current collection. With the flexible space, there's additional room for the collections, and the height of the stacks could be increased. The children and teen sections both have room for growth. Next, we have a couple of comments regarding the bistro and if it will be included in the new library. The new facility will incorporate the bistro feature. As Amy highlighted in the designs, it will be included in the library as the cafe. Thanks to everyone who took their time to submit their feedback in advance tonight, and now we'll move into the Q&A session.
Director Rose, will the bistro be included in the new library?
As I mentioned earlier, the bistro will be included in the new library. It's referred to as the cafe area in the design.
Another one for Director Rose. How did you decide on the design as the Library Advisory Committee?
The design that is being presented was developed with input from library staff, library board, elected officials from the District of Chetwynd and the Peace River Regional District, and designed by a professional architecture firm. The design takes the following into consideration: how the existing building is being used now, what works and doesn't work with the existing building, what programming is being offered by the library, what programming is being requested by patrons in the library, and best practices and current trends in libraries. Some other features that are included in the new library is that it's designed to be fully accessible, more energy efficient, integrated with the recreation center, still located centrally, gender inclusive, Wi-Fi capabilities are improved, and cultural displays. The location of the library was determined through public engagement in 2017 and endorsed by the District of Chetwynd, Peace River Regional District, and the Rec Center. While many locations were considered, this location was chosen as it will have a strong visual presence from the highway and is conveniently a short walking distance from schools and the District and Chetwynd Rec Center. There is no cost to acquire land at the proposed location. Location keeps community services within the same general area. It is also important to the advisory committee that the current facilities stay open to the public during the construction phase. So the existing location was not considered ideal. Current library location also didn't allow for any increased size. The parking would have continued to be a challenge.
Another question is, why not repair the existing building?
One of the reasons why the existing building wasn't repaired due to the costs associated with updating and improving ventilation, excessive drafts in the winter, multiple leaks in the past have resulted in some water damage. Lighting is completely obsoleted. The electrical system needs to be upgraded. It is not commercially plumbed, so plumbing has to be upgraded. Windows need to be replaced. Roof is ending its life expectancy. Poor design results in ongoing issues. Outside is in need of a complete update, and the repair will not provide the added space necessary for the growing community and the new programs.
Another FAQ is, can we make changes to design? What if there is a space that we'd like but don't see it included?
So if you have those concerns, please fill in the survey or send an email to prd.dc@prd.bc.ca with your input. Anybody out there got any questions? One of the questions I was asked earlier was, would the taxation drop? And we did cover that a little bit after the short-term borrowing was paid for. And I can add a little bit more to that. I expected that there would be some decrease in taxation once the short-term borrowing has been paid for. But we all know that costs will go up over that period of time, and operationally, and the need to start building a reserve or any kind of capital repairs or maintenance to the building over its lifespan will have to start. Kelly, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Well, I think the one frequent question I have had that we haven't already answered is what will happen to the existing building? And so it's my understanding through our discussions is that the building belongs to the district of Chetwynd and not the Peace River Regional District. And it would be up to the district of Chetwynd to decide the future of the existing library building once we vacate it. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So if there's nobody else that has any questions or comments, I'd like to thank everyone for their participation tonight, and we hope we've given some good information and answered some questions. The survey closes Monday next week, so please get online to haveyoursay.prd.bc.ca/CPLP to send your responses in. You can ask questions anytime by emailing prd.dc@prd.bc.ca or use the comments section on the Have Your Say project page. Thank you and good night.
Good night.